These are the worst foods in Warhammer 40k. Number 6. Imperial Guard Nutrient Gruel. If you think your sad desk lunch is grim, try cracking open a tin of food older than your great-great-grandfather and calling it a meal. So the Imperial Guard, the regular human army of the Imperium, is billions of soldiers across 1,000,000 worlds, and you cannot exactly ship them all a hot dinner. A war out here can drag on for decades, on planets that grow absolutely nothing, supplied across distances that take years to cross. Anything fresh would rot into sludge long before it ever reached the front line. So here is what you get. Nutrient gruel, a gray semi-solid paste in a tin with a ring pull lid and a shelf life of 160 years. 16 official flavors printed on the label, which is adorable because no human tongue has ever told them apart. You peel the lid, it goes in gray, and it comes out gray. And the official guidance, this is real, warns you not to make it your only food for more than 5 days running. It does not say what happens on day 6, it just draws the line and lets your imagination handle the rest. The poor Tempestus Scions, the Guard's elite troops in fully sealed helmets, somehow have it worst of all. Their helmets are built so the gruel pipes straight in through the visor. They eat this stuff for years and never even have to look at it, which, you know what, might actually be the dream. It keeps you breathing, that's the whole pitch. Across 1,000,000 worlds, that is breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Number 5. Bilefly larva biscuits. What do you feed a planet of billions when there's no room left to grow a single crop? Bugs! The answer is always bugs, and so many of them. The Solium is a hive world, basically one enormous city stacked into a single tower, packed with billions and zero room left for a farm. You still have to feed everyone, cheaply, at a scale no field could ever hit. So down at the very bottom of the city, in these massive sealed pens, they breed an insect called the Orochian Bilefly. By the trillion. The larvae get flattened on a thick protein slop, and at the right squirmy stage of their life cycle, the whole writhing lot gets pulped, pressed, and shaped into ration biscuits. Greasy ones. We're talking the kind of grease that coats the roof of your mouth and just lives there for the rest of the day. Their reputation across the whole sector is, and I love this, universally loathed. Not disliked, loathed. And well, one bite and you get it. The factories that pump these out sit right at the bottom of the hive where the air is foulest and the floor never stops humming because of the millions of larvae shifting around in the dark below you. Only the most desperate people in the city will work down there. Everybody else takes the finished biscuit, eats it fast, and tries hard not to picture the room it came from. The Solium is proud of these things. They export them across the sector by the crate stacked right next to the planet's other big product, laser guns, the standard Imperial laser rifle. So somewhere a quartermaster is signing off on a pallet of pressed maggot, parking it next to the ammo, and logging it as a great day of work. Number 4. Squigs. Why would anyone want food that fights back? Ask an orc. To them, that part is the whole appeal. So orcs are this galaxy-spanning horde of green fungus-based alien warriors who live almost entirely to throw down. They're part plant, part animal, part mushroom, and so is basically everything they eat. The bottom of the menu is the squig, the simplest little blob of orc life there is. A round fungus critter that grows wild in the filth pits of every orc camp. Some get bred just for eating. The Gretchen, the small put-upon goblin cousins who do all the actual cooking, roast them on a spit, deep-fry pan, stuff them with more fungus. A squig pie will run you a single orc tooth, by the way, because teeth are literally the orc currency. They pay for lunch with their own mouth. And then you've got the face-eater squig, the gnasher. This one is pretty much just a mouth, a ring of needle teeth, nearly as wide as the whole thing is long. Orcs hold eating contests with these, and here's the twist. Winning has nothing to do with eating the most of them. You win by biting the squig before the squig bites your face off. A lot of orcs walk away from these short a nose or a cheek, and some of them don't walk away at all. The Pain Boys, those are the orc field surgeons, once got the bright idea to use gnashers as living scalpels for amputations. Just hold one up to the limb you want gone. The squigs bit the assistant's arm off instead. Back to the drawing board on that one. And because a squig is an orcoid thing too, sprouted from the exact same fungus the orcs grow out of, every squig dinner there is, when you really think about it, a little bit of cannibalism. Has this ever once bothered an orc? Absolutely not. A squig that nearly took his face off is a good squig. A great meal, and he's already banging the table for another plate. Number 3. Kroot flesh eating. There is a whole species out here whose entire cuisine is the people they killed 5 minutes ago. Meet the Kroot, tall, bird-looking alien mercenaries for hire to the Tau, this young, weirdly optimistic alien empire out on the Eastern Rim. The Kroot will fight for money, sure, but the real payday is the buffet afterward. Because when a battle ends, the Kroot eat the dead, and the reason is wild. Their bodies can read flesh. A Kroot's gut actually pulls useful genetic traits out of whatever it eats and stitches them into the bloodline down the generations. Eat something strong, and over time, the whole kindred, that's what they call one of their family warbands, gets a little stronger. Each one is led by a shaper, honestly part chieftain and part head chef, who walks through the battlefield deciding who looked worth eating. Big tough enemies go straight in the pot to make the next batch of Kroot meaner. They'll strip a field down to bare bone, their own dead included, because letting good muscle rot is just wasteful. So real talk, if you're a human soldier and you die fighting the Tau, this is your afterlife. The Kroot come strolling through and eat you, specifically because you fought well, and they'd quite like the next generation to fight a bit more like you did. Flattering in a horrifying way. But it cuts both ways. Put the wrong thing in a Kroot and you wreck them. Eat too much of the wrong beast and the bloodline warps somewhere it can't crawl back from. Those slavering Kroot hounds and big dopey Krootoks stomping along beside them, widely thought to be Kroot who ate something they shouldn't have and got frozen halfway into an animal. Forever. So there are meals even they won't touch. Tyrannid flesh, that's the endless world-eating swarm from outside the galaxy, is permanently off the menu because one bad bite of that unravels a Kroot into a monster. The Kroot are still out there, still for hire, still trailing Tau armies across the rim and licking every battlefield they win clean. To a Kroot, a field heaped with bodies is the whole reason he took the job in the first place. Number 2, corpse starch. Okay. Here is where it stops being gross and starts being genuinely bleak, because the Imperium had billions of mouths to feed and one resource it never, ever runs out of: dead people. Cram them all into a single tower city with nowhere to grow a crop, and you produce corpses on an industrial schedule, from gang fights, accidents, plague, old age, take your pick. And to the Imperium, binning all that good protein while the living starve is just bad math, so the bodies go into the grinder and come out as corpse starch. A gray paste pressed into bricks and crackers and ration slabs and handed right back to the people. The official process is designed, and this is the actual canon wording, to puree the flesh into a unified blandness devoid of flavor and identity, which is a beautifully bureaucratic way of saying they work very, very hard to make sure it never once tastes like what it actually was. On Necromunda, the Imperium's most infamous hive world, the whole grim trade is run by a guild with the lovely name Mercator Pallidus, High Gothic, the Imperium's fancy old luggage for corpse guild. Their crews head down into the lower levels, collect the dead, and chop them into pieces small enough to ship off to the rendering plants. Now picture you're a worker on one of these worlds. You get your gray brick, you take a bite, something about it turns your stomach, and you make the mistake of saying so out loud. Bad move. In some corners of the Imperium, complaining about the taste of corpse starch counts as sedition. The wrong foreman hears you go, ugh, and you can be on a prison ship within the hour. You are not allowed to dislike it, enjoying it is mandatory. And the official propaganda line stamped on all of it, corpse starch is the Emperor's blessing upon the empty bellies of his loyal servants. So that is dinner for most of the human race. Billions of people eating their processed dead every day and giving thanks for it, because the only other options are starving or getting caught complaining. Number 1. Chaos-tainted corpse starch. Every other entry on this list just feeds you something awful. This one feeds you something awful and quietly signs your soul over to a blood god while you chew. Khorne, one of the Chaos gods, the dark powers that live in the warp, basically the hell dimension of raw psychic energy sloshing around under reality. Khorne's whole thing is bloodshed and killing, and both of those feed him. And tucked away inside the corpse starch industry on Necromunda, working the same machines and pulling the same shifts as everyone else, are people who worship him. The corpse grinder cults. So these cultists work the exact same job as everyone else. Same grinder, same hours. The difference is what they do before the bodies go in. They run blood rituals over the corpses, dedicate the meat to Khorne, and then send it out through the totally legitimate guild supply chain like nothing happened. The people buying it have no clue. All they notice is that this batch, tastes better than the usual gray sludge, and eating it actually feels good. And the more a hive eats, the more its people start to, let's say, come apart. Which brings us to a hive called Arcos. The tainted meat worked its way down through the mid and lower levels, and the population fell in love with it. People got obsessed, scarfing as much corpse starch as they could get their hands on, and right alongside that craving, the madness spread. Murders shot up, mutinies broke out, whispers of blood cults drifted through the levels, and when a shipment ran late, people rioted in the streets for their fix. The authorities, meanwhile, did basically nothing, which is honestly just how a corn plan likes to run. Feed it to them, let them crave it, and let the violence do the rest on its own time. And it ended exactly how corn stuff tends to end. The whole hive tipped into open slaughter, and a demon of corn, a living chunk of pure warp energy called the Lord of Skin and Sinew, is said to have torn its way into reality through the cult at the center of it all. By the time the smoke cleared, Hive Arcos was finished. The Imperium sealed the whole city off and stamped it a grave hive, written off as completely lost to chaos, quarantined and abandoned with everybody still inside. The Corpse Guild's official take, by the way, is that the cultists were weak-willed fools who glimpsed the truth of what everyone on the planet is actually eating and went running to heretics for comfort. The cultists would tell you a different story. When they came for the Hive's last defenders, the thing they were screaming over the barricades was an invitation. Drop your weapons, stop fighting the Lord of Skin and Sinew, come feast. And the corpse grinder cults are still in there, still buried inside the same guilds that feed the hives, still working the same grinders they always have. So somewhere in the Imperium right now, some worker is peeling the wrapper of a fresh gray ration brick, taking that first bite and thinking that today, for some reason he couldn't tell you, it tastes wonderful.